Come on. Prostitutes, pimps, sweaty bodies, dingy hotel rooms, men and women talking whispers. Tonight, the players of the night reveal the tricks of the trade, why they're involved in this taboo, illegal lifestyle. Prostitution has become a deadly business. We can't just lie down and take it anymore. We are all getting screwed by prostitutes. The old profession in a new light, all right? Our prostitutes, pimps, and madams sucking morality out of America. Join us. I got enough cards up here, for God's sakes, to challenge Amarillo Slim to a game. Let me start off and introduce you to some folks from the Eagle Forum. Old friend of mine, Janine Hanson at Loudmouth 1. Hi, Janine.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to see you. And on home base with me tonight, all right? Home base with me tonight, we have Nancy Grace, who is a prostitute. Hi, Nancy.
I was.
How you doing? All right, relax. Nancy, let me start out. Does your background compare to the drug-addicted, abused girl that we hear so much about? What's your background? I mean, you weren't sodomized by your father?
No, not quite.
Weren't sent out to work at an early age?
No one sent me out anywhere.
You just like it, huh?
I didn't say that either.
No, really, why did you become a prostitute?
Good money.
You weren't making good money at anything else? I mean, you sit here, you look like a school teacher.
Everybody has their own opinion of what they're supposed to look like. The money's good.
The money's good. How much money can you make in a week?
Enough.
Enough.
I'm not going to put it down.
All right. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How much do you charge for a trick?
I don't turn tricks.
What do you do?
People pay me for my company.
Oh, so you're an escort. You're an
That's
escort?
one way of putting it.
You're an escort.
I go out and I watch people, men like you, that like to dress up in ladies' clothes and parade around.
Men like me who like to dress up in ladies' clothes? Who the hell's been peeking in my closet, huh? You go out, that's what you do? You watch guys who like to dress up in women's clothes? You never have sex with them?
Past. I'm married. I don't do that anymore. I go out and I watch men like you, as I said, dress up in ladies' clothes, or people that like to be tied up and spanked, or certain fantasies. No sex.
You used to, though, before you got married, turn trick.
Pardon?
You used to, before you got married, consummate the relationship.
Before I got married.
Before you got married. Who did you marry?
Who did I marry? A very nice gentleman.
Was he one of your
Yankee,
tricks?
Unfortunately.
Was he one of your tricks?
We met through an agency.
Met through an agency? Wait a second here. Well, I'm just trying to put this all together. But you think what you do should be legalized?
Yes.
Do you think prostitution in general should be legalized?
Yes, as long as they use people that are over the, legal age.
Well, as a matter of fact, we were going to have some more prostitutes in here tonight. But I can tell you the hypocrisy of it all. State law doesn't allow us to have anyone under the age of 18 in my studio, and the prostitutes were 14 and 15. Working the streets of New York. What do you think about that?
I think it's sick.
How old were you when you started prostituting?
31.
31? You mean you had a regular job before?
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, what was your regular job? What is your education background?
Pardon?
What is your educational background?
I finished high school, been to college. I've worked as a legal secretary. I was getting a degree in computer science and engineering.
Janine. Janine Hansen, all right, is head of Eagle Forum in the state of Nevada, where there's legalized prostitution. That's very important to remember. Janine, do you think perhaps Nancy is fooling herself as well as the audience when she talks about the positive aspects of prostitution?
Well, from what she said, she doesn't sound like an ordinary prostitute. Most prostitutes enter prostitution, the average age is age 17. So many of them are much younger than that, and so we have children entering prostitution. The average age of prostitutes is 22, and so they're very young. And we have a situation in which most prostitutes, 80% of them have been sexually abused at home. 63% have run away from home. So you see, we have a series of victimizations here, and they go on being victims as prostitutes. And they aren't in it for the money, although they say that, because 83% of them don't have a dime to make on the next week. And so they're in a situation of dire financial straits most of the time. 80% of them have pimps, therefore they're getting the money, not the prostitute.
Did you have a pimp when you were...
And I don't think she's an average prostitute.
Did you ever have a pimp when you were
No.
prostituting?
No.
Well, how were you able to get into the business then?
Pick up the yellow pages and open it up to either where it says escort or massage. Pick up the phone and dial the number.
Those are prostitutes.
I'm not going to say that's what they do or they don't do. I can't speak for anybody else.
Did you have an ad in the Yellow Pages?
No.
Let your
Agency.
fingers do the walking.
Get Will Lester.
Nance, when you were a prostitute, before you started just watching men like me dress up in women's clothes, who like to get tied up and spanked, when you were doing that, before you were doing that and you were doing prostitution, as we look upon as Janine and myself did, weren't you worried about getting some weirdo in the room with you or something? I mean,
That's why you work with a reputable agency.
the reputable agency had already
somebody that
investigated
has
the guy.
clientele that's, you know, the same clientele for 5, 10, 15 years. That's why you go out and you see people that wouldn't do that, like, you know, professional people, doctors,
You never
lawyers,
walked in a room and some
sports
guy was
players.
standing there with his pet sheep or something.
No. Do you do that?
How does your husband react to all of this? I mean, he met you on a date set up by a reputable agency, and I assume he paid you that night and you got it on, right?
No, he paid me. We went out to dinner. Not everybody that goes out and gets paid for their company goes to bed with people. See, that's the misconception.
Why, misconception? What do you guys... I mean, but you're ready to go to bed if that's what the guy wants to do,
It's
right?
up to the young lady. You're paying her for her time, for her company. You're not paying her to go to bed with you. If that's what you want to do,
Well, I
that's
gotta
her
tell
business.
you, guys, wait a second. Are any of you guys such pigos you can't get a date? You gotta, huh? I mean, that sounds ridiculous to me. Next we'll hear from a call girl who used to be a cop, now finds herself in jail. What a mixture. Let me introduce you by telephone at home, folks, and here in our studio, the young lady by the name of Norma Jean Almodovar. Norma Jean is a former call girl. She's also was a police officer, and she's written a book called Cop to Call Girl about her experience. Unfortunately, she's now in jail at the California Rehabilitation Center, and she's been in for 10 months, at least on one count of pandering. Norma Jean, how are you?
Well, I could be much better, thank you.
All right, I know you've only got a few minutes on the telephone, but
Yes.
What do you think about legalization of prostitution?
Well, I'm in favor of decriminalization because I think that when a person becomes an adult, one should be able to decide what kind of standard of morality to live by. And I was listening to your show, and of course, Janine Hansen and I believe, were on another show last year on the Downey show.
That's right, Norma Jean.
And, you know, even if everything she said was true, which it's not, to put people in prison because they don't save their money, and to put them in prison because they were abused by their parents. This is an absurd sort of thing to do. And, of course, the prison out here in California is highly overcrowded. And I think that it's about time that people stop going to prison for making consenting adult choices. And when people violate other people's rights, that's the time that they should go to prison.
I think it's really too bad that we think that those that are involved in prostitution aren't the victims. And it's too bad that Norma Jean was a call girl as she was a meter maid in California. But she made that choice. Unfortunately, there's a lot of girls that might choose not to go into prostitution because it's illegal. But if it were legalized or decriminalized, we'd have a lot more girls without any excuse and going into prostitution. Just like if we decriminalized
Well, where's Norma Jean and Janine? Let me draw a line here. What about the young lady who meets a guy and decides to move in with him, all right, and lives with him and maybe isn't working, and they're living together. They're not sure they're ever going to get married or anything. It's just kind of a make-good situation, but she's getting her food, she's getting her transportation. Is that prostitution?
Well, as you know, I don't believe in relationships outside of marriage.
All right, but
However, I don't consider that to be the kind of prostitution on the streets that we need to be worried about. When they had a crackdown on street prostitution in Vegas, and you know that street prostitution is not legal in Nevada at all.
No, but
it's
you do have
only
legalized in the brothels.
In a few rural counties, it is legal in brothels only.
Well, when
and
you say rural
less
counties, it's right outside Clark County,
but
which
it's less
is
than
Las Vegas.
300 girls working in legal prostitution in the entire state of Nevada. Less than 300 girls. And so you can see that it's very minimal there. And what we have is a situation where we have girls who are being victimized by the whole situation.
Norma Jean, I didn't hear you. Say that again.
The reason that there are only 300 working in the brothels is because of the size of the brothels, obviously. And it's not because there would be more women working in the brothels if there were more of them, if they were larger. That's
not true, Norma Jean, especially since the AIDS scare. The numbers of prostitutes in Nevada has gone way down, and so there's plenty of empty rooms at the brothels, and the numbers will still go down, and they're working at the legislature to get rid of prostitution entirely in Nevada.
Well, you know, that's something that they're never going to be able to do, because as long as there's a man that is willing to pay for a woman that's willing to take the money, they are going to have sex. And, of course, you know something, the money doesn't change anything. The money doesn't spread AIDS. Ignorance spreads AIDS. Ignorance spreads all kinds of diseases. And just because a woman isn't charging doesn't mean she's not safe from getting AIDS. And, in fact, when I became a prostitute...
We're not doing an AIDS show, all right? We're doing why you became a hooker.
I'm sorry?
We're not doing an AIDS show. We're doing what in the world got into you. Let me... Well, I know what got into you. Norma Jean, in the few minutes you have left, why did you become a prostitute? I mean, do you like it so much, and were you so ugly that you couldn't get all you needed?
No, I don't think so. I became a prostitute because I decided if I was going to screw the public, I might as well get the going rate.
Janine, what do you think when you hear Nancy? I mean, I even see a smile on your face.
Well, I feel sorry for her, and I feel sorry for a lot of other women that haven't had any better choices. As I said, 80% have been sexually abused as children.
No, I have better choices, but that was the best choice I could make.
Unfortunately, most of them end up with nothing in the end, and the sad thing is that it really
Well, some of them do end up
with
with something in the end, too, you know. You seem to be, Nancy, getting a little bit bent out of shape and listening to all this stuff. I mean, how long can you keep doing what you're doing? How long can you keep it up?
As long as men want to dress up in ladies' clothes.
Do you feel you're benefiting society doing... Well, let me ask you something. Have you ever had any famous clients? I mean, you say guys like me who like to dress up like women. You've had famous clients. Like who?
Philadelphia Eagles football player.
Philadelphia Eagle football player?
Yeah.
Likes to dress up in women's clothes?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you who it is.
I'd
Philadelphia
love
baseball
to tell
player.
Harry Carson who that is.
And doctors, lawyers, judges, policemen, and
Judges,
talk
I
show
can
hosts.
understand. And the talk show host?
Talk show host.
Bill Boggs.
No, it wasn't Bill Boggs. It was not Bill Boggs.
A talk show host in Philadelphia?
I didn't say that. All I said was it wasn't Bill Boggs.
But it was a talk show host. Can't you share it with us?
No.
Can't share it?
Nope.
Is he on a national show or a local show? I want to get a hint here. Is he on a national show or a local show?
I'm not saying. I do not name names and talk. No ministers. No.
No ministers?
No ministers. I'm
God,
brought up
wouldn't you like
in
to know
South.
who that
Don't do
talk show host is, who dresses up like girls? Hey, next we'll meet a Fred who's a John. He's damn proud to admit that he's been using prostitutes for over 20 years. Stand by.
Transportation for the Morton Downey Jr. Show, furnished by Redwood Limousine. When in New York, call 212-226-7665.
I want to introduce at home base right now, Fred Cherry, who frequents prostitutes. Obviously, that name, Fred, is that a pseudonym, Cherry?
No, it's the name on my birth certificate.
It is Cherry?
Yes.
You obviously got rid of that very early. Let me ask you a question. You represent an organization called Jaguar?
Jaguar, Johns and Call Girls United Against Repression, a not-for-profit corporation organized under the laws of the state of New York.
I'll tell you, it isn't often that we can debate the prostitution issue with the customers. Why are you willing to admit that you go out with prostitutes when it's almost a taboo subject in our society?
Well, because I feel I'm oppressed, and the only way to get
You're
rid
oppressed?
Yes,
Why?
as a John, I'm oppressed because it's against the law. And because my...
Can't you get laid anyplace else?
I'm in bad health. I've been in bad health all my life, and I can't get out that much. Also, the fact that I'm so thin makes me unattractive.
You're not unattractive.
That's what you say.
You think he's unattractive? Huh?
No.
He doesn't think you're unattractive.
I didn't get sex for the first time in my life till I was 30.
You were
and that
30?
was with a prostitute.
And that was with a prostitute?
That was with a prostitute, yes.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Let's get serious here for just a second. And Janine, if you have any questions, jump right in here, all right? Let me ask you something. You didn't get sex till you were 30.
Yes.
You were told you were unattractive.
I wasn't
That's a
told
lot
I
of
was
bull-
unattractive.
You decided you were.
Because I was trying to meet women. I was trying to...
Did you date?
I tried to... Yes, I dated, but nobody would go out with me on a second date.
Well, is there a possibility?
Yeah.
Is there a possibility there was something else wrong with you?
Well, as a matter
Were
of
you
fact...
too aggressive? Did you have rat breath? I mean, what was it?
No. As a matter of fact, at the time, I was even thinner than I am now. I was around 100 pounds, and I'm 5'10". Now, that's kind of thin, isn't it?
Under 105 for 10?
Yeah, I'm 5'10", and I was less than 105 pounds. Now, that's a bit thin, isn't
Yeah,
it?
if you put on a condom, you look like a walking... So you started going with prostitutes.
Yes.
How much money do you figure you paid the prostitutes?
Well, I haven't actually added it up. I can tell you how much I pay now.
How much?
I give my girlfriend $160 every time she sees me.
She's your girlfriend?
Yes, she's my girlfriend.
Okay.
You see the suit I'm wearing?
Yeah.
She went to the store with me, and she helped me select it.
Okay. Do you have... Oh, wait a second.
Wait a minute, I'll tell you something else.
Janine,
You heard Norma Jean
I don't know
Almodovar
what to say.
before.
I can't believe it, that somebody would actually be on national television advertising that they live that way. It's incredible to me. I think it's unfortunate.
I think he's
and
got a lot of guts.
I think there ought to be. I don't know why there aren't more guys.
Oh,
doing
well,
this.
Fred, let me ask you, you really think of this girl as your girlfriend, don't
I
you?
am, absolutely. Let me give you an example.
Would you marry her if she
I don't believe in... I don't think marriage is for me. I don't think I am suited for marriage.
That's probably right.
Thank you. All right. Okay. There are some people who are not suited for marriage.
Well, obviously, I had that problem once. I've been married 3 times, but I mean, I'm suited now.
Well...
No, I'm concerned about people who want to go out and do their own thing and go with prostitutes or whatever they feel like it, men or women, and then they expect society and the public and the rest of us to pay for it. Because right now, up to 25% of prostitutes on the street have AIDS. There's all kinds of other diseases which they have. And you go out there and spread that and have your good time, and then you end up in the hospital and can't pay for that. You say you aren't in good health now, And then you and I, the rest of us that aren't doing that, that haven't chosen that lifestyle, we have to pay for that and all the other problems that it brings. And I don't want to. I'm not interested in paying for your perverted lifestyle.
Wait a minute. Hold it. First of all, I do not spread diseases. I practice safe sex. I've never had any diseases yet, unless you count the crabs.
Unless you count what?
Unless you count the crabs.
Unless you count the crabs.
I mean, you don't get hospitalized. You do not get hospitalized with the crabs.
Wait a second. For all we know, he's a ball player and used someone else's jock strap.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Nancy.
First of all, there's a difference. There's prostitutes that work the street and prostitutes that work agencies. There's a big difference there, lady. Trust me. And I've been in the business. I've been in the business almost 8 years, and I've never, ever had anything, much less crabs. You take a bath, you wouldn't have me either.
Wait a minute.
All right, but Fred, do you have, and I think this is important, do you have what society would consider normal sex with this lady?
Absolutely, certainly.
All right. And how can you be sure she doesn't bring home a disease, as Miss Hanson says, very possibly this prostitute doesn't have the disease tonight when you sleep with her, but tomorrow when you sleep with her, she got it from someone the day before.
Because I practice safe sex, and...
Safe sex is baloney, Fred.
No, it is not.
You use a condom, is what
Right,
you're saying, right?
right.
That is only effective, they originally said 70% of the time, all right? Now, they say if it's used anally, it's effective 10% of the time.
I'm not doing anything anally, and I'm not using... Wait a minute.
So, you know, credit where credit is due. At least Fred knows that the anus is an exit, not an entrance.
All right. And wait a minute, let me finish. I don't use those sheep, those condoms made from sheep gut. I use the latex condoms and the American ones at that. And they're safer than the European ones.
How often do you pay $160 for your girlfriend?
Once a week.
Once a week? You're
Yes.
earning pretty good bucks. That's cheap, $160?
Wait a minute.
How much do you charge for some big Philadelphia Eagle football player to put on
a dress?
put on a dress so you can
How
pet
long are
him?
we talking?
Well, how long does the guy like the dress on? I mean, there's something...
Depends whether you won or lost the game.
Okay. Really? Okay, he lost the game. How long does he need the
2
dress
hours,
on?
maybe.
2 hours? And when he has this dress on, do you get him to
Well, he doesn't wear
ejaculate?
his dress usually. He wears a garter belt, bra, stockings, a negligee.
And we're paying
Doesn't bring his helmet and
$25 a game to watch these pansies play.
Now you know why they
ask
don't
you
always
something.
win.
Let me ask you something. You get these guys to ejaculate to climax?
Sometimes, that's been a while.
How do you get them to
Now they
ejaculate?
just walk around in their little dresses and pantyhose or whatever.
And you pat them and say, nice
No,
girl.
I don't touch them. I sit there and tell them how lovely he looks in his pink negligee. And what a shame you made such a mistake and lost the game. You're entitled to your belief. Not everybody is, gung-ho sex, are you?
Like to bring up a couple of the Philadelphia Eagles? Football? Well, we'll do that next. Stand by. We'll be right back. Prostitutes, pimps, johns, and, amen, what happens to the American family. Nancy, I've got to come back to you for just a second here, because one of my guests in the audience asked me to ask you if the particular Philadelphia Eagle who dresses up for you is a tight end.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know?
I've never checked his derriere.
But I would imagine after 8 years in prostitution, you're at least a wide receiver.
You're entitled to your opinion, but that doesn't make you any better than me.
Oh, my gosh, no, it
Well,
doesn't
you
make
sit
me
there and you judge people. You don't know me. You're basing your opinion of me on your overall opinion of prostitution. I'm not
I'm
your
basing
typical
my
one.
opinion on someone who screws some guy and then marries him and then goes out and tries to justify what she's doing by
First of
standing
all-
around watching people dress up in women's clothes, all right, and say how beautiful you are. You're as sick as they are. Every bit as sick as they are. You're a sicko.
That's a form of psychotherapy,
Wait,
if you want to
wait,
know
A form
something.
of psychotherapy, my ass. My ass. Do you like to dress up in women's clothes?
No, I don't do that. I don't like that.
Right, you like regular sex.
You're
Right?
probably
right.
kinkier.
Huh?
You're
What's
probably more
happening
perverted.
here is
I'm
just
probably
symptomatic of
First
the
of
whole
all,
thing.
I don't have to justify myself to you or anybody. And
No,
I
you
don't
sure
go
don't.
out. I
You
didn't.
sure don't. But, honey, you wanted to because you brought your ass here. I didn't arrest you and bring you here. Huh?
They called me.
They
Your
called
people
you.
did. Your people here
Yeah.
called me. They paid my transportation up
Yeah,
here.
we pay everyone's
Okay?
transportation.
All right. So don't tell me I brought my ass here, because my ass is none of your business.
Your ass, I wouldn't want to have in my business,
worry,
honey.
you
I'm
never-
not just full of pimples and just as full of as you are.
Listen, Downey. Listen, Downey.
Sit down.
You're not proving
Sit
it.
down.
Listen, Downey. You're a pervert, too.
Let me hear what Fred says. Let's hear what the human has to say.
Downey, you are a pervert, too, and your perversion is verbal sadism.
Verbal sadism.
Yeah, that's what your perversion is.
Why, where have I been sadistic, Fred, my dear boy?
Sadistic to this lady here.
Sadistic to
That's
her?
correct. Verbally sadistic
I
to
don't
this
know
lady.
why you can't get a girlfriend, babe. You are so condescending to some bitch that you amaze
There
me.
you go again. There you go again. There you're doing it again.
You know, the way you're acting is just symptomatic of the whole problem of prostitution. You have been very disrespectful to her, no
Never
matter
seen
what her
anybody
position
like
is.
him.
Thank
And
you.
that's precisely one of the reasons why prostitution is bad for society. It makes women objects. It makes them subject to all kinds of physical and mental abuse. They have to subject themselves to every form
I
of
can
rape.
get up and walk
And
off.
it
I don't have to
also,
listen
for
to
instance,
him.
in Nevada, where we have legalized prostitution, it does not lower the rape rate. In my community, which is only 10 miles from the largest brothel, we have a rape rate 5 times the national average. And it's just symptomatic of the whole process, which is disrespectful to women and disrespectful to the family unit.
Janine,
And the
is
way that you-
possibly the reason for your high rape rate in your area the fact that your casinos are open 24 hours, you're serving booze 24 hours, people are getting drunk, they're not knowing what the hell they're doing, and they're going out and bothering people. You got some girl coming up to serve you with her boobs coming out of her mouth. They're so high. I mean,
I
isn't this type of
think
thing?
that I think that those things probably contribute,
I
as
do
well
too.
as the fact that we have the highest readership of pornographic magazines along with Alaska. But I really feel it's too bad. It's too bad that all of these things contribute to the degradation of women and the family, and that society has to pay for those things. We have to pay for the broken lives. We have to pay for the disease. We have to pay for it when we have not chosen to live that way. And your attitude towards her today is simply one that is expressed towards all women when they are viewed as prostitutes or sex objects. And I think it's really a sorry attitude for
My
anyone to have in
attitude's the
society.
same towards men who've got to go out, like poor Fred here, and pay $160
You've
and
never
think they're
paid
getting it
anybody?
off. Huh?
Truthfully, you've never paid?
I've never
I don't
paid
believe
a
you.
dime, honey.
I don't believe
Never
you.
done it. Never done
I
it.
do not believe
I've
you.
gotten
host.
mine.
He gets
I
all
haven't
mine.
been a television host all my life. I've been a TV host. I've been a TV host less than a
You
year.
got a casting couch.
I haven't. Let me introduce Eric Nadler, who's the senior editor for Penthouse. Eric is the senior editor. I understand that you've authored a scholarly dissertation now on prostitution. You favor the legalization. What types of benefits would society and prostitutes receive through legalization?
Well, I think in the sexual area, the society flourishes when 1,000 flowers bloom. And what I have heard from this loudmouth station over there is the most intolerant kind of ayatollism as far as sex goes that I've heard recently. But it's so typical of the fanatic wing of American politics where you reside happily.
You can make your point without calling names, or do you have to
No, you're
do
standing
that?
by the loudmouth, that's all. That's what I said. The point that I'd like to make about you is that you have no real power in the society. The sexual revolution is occurring, and it's leaving you by the way station. You believe only in sex within marriage, and probably you're against 90% of sexual acts within that marriage anyway. You know, you are not representative of the American public. You're a bitter woman who does not conform to the sexual revolution. And I have heard this victimization argument all across the country during the Reagan-Meese years. You know, Ed Meese sent a porn commission out to take Playboy and Penthouse out of America's 7-Elevens. And you know what? Playboy and Penthouse is the safest sex you can have because you never got AIDS from a magazine, but that didn't stop you and your ilk.
And that's where 57% of rapists have read softcore porn like Playboy and Penthouse immediately before going out to claim a victim. Don't tell me your pornography does not create victims. And 93% have probably eaten dinner before claiming a victim. Must be something in the ketchup, right?
1 out of 4.
For too long, during the Meese years, we've heard the federal government practically call our nation perverts. And you know what? We're sick of it, because we're not perverts. We're just normal humans trying to have a good time in a healthy, happy, normal way. And that includes...
And that isn't
Eric,
healthy, and it isn't happy.
let me ask Eric, what is a healthy, happy, good way?
Between two consenting adults, I would say practically anything goes.
As long as somebody else is willing to foot the bill for your perversion.
Hey, he's smoking cigarettes. He's going to be maybe in the Lung Cancer Institute. Why aren't you taking on the tobacco company instead of bothering us here?
Well, you know what? I'm concerned about my children. I'm concerned about my children. I'm concerned about my children and other people's children. The FBI has told us that 1 out of 4 girls that's 12 years old will be sexually assaulted in her lifetime.
By who?
Most of the people...
By who?
It doesn't matter by
yeah, it matters.
All of
it
them,
matters.
almost without exception, have been pornographic consumers. Consumers of pornography in every form. Whenever they go in to find child molesters...
Calvin Klein ads,
they find,
movie of the week. I mean, pornography, which is sexually
is everything
explicit.
from the most... from things like Playboy and Penthouse to the most perverted kinds of sexual violence.
How about New York Times Sunday Magazine advertisements? Have you seen those? You're probably upset about those.
I'm not reading the New York Times while I'm here.
I could tell.
Janine, when Eric says, and I'm going to scrap the consenting adults part, all right? A married couple, he says, well, you'd probably be opposed to sex, 90% of the sex that he would consider normal, all right? So let's find out. In a marriage, would you approve of oral sex?
I really don't think I should discuss my personal private life.
Oh, come on, let's go, let's go.
All right. No? She's entitled. She's entitled. In a marriage, do you approve of oral sex?
That's none of your business.
Well, honey, let me tell you something. If you've been a hooker for 8 years, all right, and spreading it for anyone, I imagine you'll take anything in the mouth anyhow, right? We'll be back in just a minute to talk with that. Let's talk to an escort service right now in the tri-state area here back east and see who we've got on the line. Sharon, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Turn Sharon up a little bit so we can all hear her. Sharon, can you hear me?
Barely.
All right, now let me ask you, what do you need to know about me to be able to get me an escort?
Okay, I would need your full address, the town you're in, your name and your telephone number, and the name as it's listed in the telephone directory. And I would have to call the telephone company and confirm that, and then I would call you back at the number you give me.
All right, but what if someone's got an unlisted phone?
Well, if it's unlisted, as long as you give us the name and the address, the phone company will tell us that the number is unlisted, and if there's no listing at that with that name at that address, they will tell us that also.
All right, you don't need to know how much money I make, when I had my last physical, if I have AIDS, gonorrhea, syphilis, any of that?
No.
Okay. How much is it going to cost me for an escort?
Well, where would you be located?
Pardon me?
In that area?
Depends on what town I'm in.
Right.
Okay. So let's say I'm right in New York City.
Okay, in Manhattan, the price is $154 the hour. That includes the girl's transportation. And if you wanted to put it on a credit card, it would be $225.
If you put it on a credit card, it's $225. Let me ask you something. If I put it on the credit card, does it give the name of a restaurant or a gasoline station or something on the credit card?
Well, it's a business. That's really all I can say.
The business, so I can write it off, right? I don't have to say that it's an escort service.
Right.
Okay.
Very discreet.
Now, I want to take this young lady out to dinner. Dinner's going to take 3 hours, so I'm paying $150 an hour. That's $450 before I've eaten anything. No, I'm talking about going out to dinner, folks. Is that correct, Sharon?
Yes. Well, normally we send a girl to some place we can reach her by telephone, where she has access to a phone and we have access to her.
Okay, that's good. I let you know where I'm going for dinner. Now, what if I'm really attracted to this young lady and she's attracted to me? Or my pocketbook? Can I maybe get someplace else? As long as I have a phone that you can contact her at?
Excuse me?
Can I take her home and go to bed with her?
Well, you can take her home.
It's up to her if I go to bed with her, all right?
Well, we provide the girl's time, you know. That's all we provide.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an escort service. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, I probably won't be calling you. But my wife will undoubtedly call you when she watches this show and sees me calling you.
Okay, well,
Eric, let me come back to you, pal. You also did a study that the United States Army, the military, in Vietnam set up brothels for the men.
That's right.
So if they admit, if the government in that sense admits that men need that type of companionship, why then are they so intransigent about the legalization of prostitution stateside?
Well, they are concerned about the prudery and the puritanical strain in this country that still exists to this day. And that's why no one wants to go out on a limb and lead a campaign for the decriminalization of it. But if you look in the de facto sense, I mean, it is not a high priority. There are no major politicians leading an anti-prostitution drive in this country because they know it's political suicide.
Well,
You know, after
Janine?
World War II in Nevada, when the Army came into Nevada, they simply closed down all the brothels in Nevada completely. And that's when legalized prostitution in the Reno area in Washoe County was eliminated, and then the people voted it out. And so the government did come in and close everything down because they were concerned about disease, which we all need to be concerned about still.
Well, if we need to be concerned about disease, then I don't think Eric goes far enough when he says decriminalization of prostitution. I think you have to legalize it. I don't like the government taking over things like that. I'd rather see the chemical companies and the drug companies take it over. They've got the stuff that'll cure you if you get something from their hookers.
Well, right. You know, America's a capitalist society, and basically businesses will form around products that sell. That's why in this country you have a multi-million-dollar sex industry. People want to read about it. People want to see it. People want to do it. People want to immerse themselves in it. We live in a sexual culture. That is our nature. And in the freest country in the world, when we can make our choices about what products we want, what we want to do with our leisure time, well, it's quite clear. We want sex, and plenty of it.
And we are reaping the rewards of that with our many children that are being sexually abused and many children who are, so many of them that are ending up on drugs and other problems, because whenever you have prostitution, like in Las Vegas, when they began to crack down on the street prostitutes, they had a much lower problem with the drugs, a much lower problem with violence and property crimes. And so when you have prostitution, you have all of these other evils that come along with it, besides the evils of disease, which you and I have to end up paying for as taxpayers.
Let me go to this young man here. Nancy, do you recognize this man tall as a Philadelphia Eagle?
No.
Yeah, pal. What's that? Nancy, there's something on your leg. What is that?
It's a unicorn. If you get any closer, you're not going to like it.
Oh, Lordy!
Does it say Satan on it? Does it say Satan down there? Huh?
Can you read?
Does it say Satan?
Can you read?
I asked you a question, bitch. Does it say Satan? Does it say Satan? And if it says Satan, do you love Satan? And if you love Satan, get your ass off this stage. You wanted to ask Nancy a question?
Yeah, I'd like to ask her a
You'll probably
question.
answer yours the same as she answered mine.
My mother didn't tell me to ignore ignorance.
I don't understand.
I can't hear you.
I don't understand. You look fairly presentable except for the unicorn on your leg.
I still can't hear you.
You look like a presentable woman
Thank you.
except for the unicorn on your leg. But
That was a mistake I made many years ago.
Whatever, doesn't matter. But how can you tell us that you sit in a room, watch a man get dressed up in
That's what he does.
woman's clothing? I'm not done. Watch a man get dressed up in woman's clothing, and you can sit here with a straight face and tell us that you just sit there and watch?
Because
can't
that's
believe
the
that.
God's honest truth. I don't care whether you believe me or not, because I'm not here to impress you.
As far as I'm concerned, a call girl
Pardon?
is just a fancy name for a prostitute.
You can call it anything you want.
Or a whore, whatever you want to call
Your
it.
opinion.
A whore, too. You can go with the whore. They want to say whore?
So we know where your ignorance is now.
And amazing, everyone who doesn't agree that prostitution and whoring is good is ignorant. Go ahead, pal.
Morton, I want to just thank you for some choice of quality programming. It's about time. Secondly, let's just realize that prostitution is one of the oldest professions. Let us get a reputable company or some aspect of government to control it, tax it, put those taxes to a worthy cause. The country certainly needs the help. God bless America. Morton, I love your Red Sox. Thanks, Bill.
Yes, ma'am. Now maybe we can get a lady's point of view here.
And I wanted to ask, after that first trick, how did you feel? I'd just like to know that. How big was your self-esteem?
Mixed feelings.
How many times can you swallow your self-esteem, and how little do you feel right now? And you're suggesting that this is a way of life, a way to make your living, a way to feel good about yourself?
If it's good for me, I'm not saying it's good for you or anybody else out there. It's what I've chosen to do.
Okay, do you think you should suggest and make this a career for other women?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you think that you should allow this to be a career for other women?
If you're legal age and your mind, you got all your mind together, whatever you decide to do is your business.
So if you're 18 years old and you're still not a mature adult,
I didn't say for 18. I'm speaking of anyone 21 or older.
21 or older?
Yeah.
What I'd like to know is, how do you feel like as a person walking around knowing that you're a whore and a prostitute? Yeah. And trying to justify it by having a husband. How does your husband look at you when he feels that you're going out on dates watching other men?
As a whore or prostitute, and I don't
How
consider
can he?
myself...
When he met you, when you were a whore or a
Maybe you should ask him.
prostitute? Maybe he's got self-esteem of a pig anyway.
Lady, he's got more
No, but I noticed one thing. We're going to take a break here in just a second, but I noticed one thing. When we said whore and prostitute, all the men applauded, but none of the women did. And you know what we're doing? We're hurting women here.
That's
And
exactly
I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt women.
The problem is
I don't
you're
want to
hurting
hurt
in the
women.
worst way.
By the same token. I think they ought to put the Johns in prison if they're going to put the prostitutes in prison. We'll be right back. Break away for a commercial.
Some of the guests of the Morton Downey Jr. Show stay at the Meadowlands Hilton Hotel.
Yeah, you turned trick. That was before maybe the Republicans were that age, but that was when AIDS was starting to come.
As you can probably hear, my friends, the argument continues here. The prostitute on stage, the young lady who's upset by prostitution, debating with her. And again, you come down to no answer really being given on the situation. Janine Hansen-Triggs, Janine Hansen, who is head of Eagle Forum in Nevada, says under no circumstances this type of situation. Mr. Cherry, of course, says, hey, This is the only way I can have sex. So you have to...
You've never made a mistake, I guess.
No, I made plenty of mistakes.
Okay, prostitution could be legalized so that it can
All right,
be
and I think I have to agree. I think I have to agree with what Eric says. Maybe we have to think of the exception rather than the rule. And maybe the exception is that there are threats and there are people we could prevent from having this disease. I gotta tell you, you were excellent, all right? We missed a lot of what you said. You were excellent, defended your cause very well. Eric, our other guest, Janine Hansen, and this gentleman, Fred Cherry. Fred, good luck to you, pal, all right? Don't get a disease, whatever you do. Nancy had a lot of guts coming here. I appreciate her getting here. I think she has a lot of guts to be in the business you're in. I think you're really stupid, all right? I think you're really stupid. There has to be some balance here with a guy who can't get it and a girl who can't get it can get it legally and they don't go to jail. I don't know what the balance is yet. Maybe we'll come up with it in one of Eric's writings. Good night, everybody. Have a good night.